In 1979, I bought a one-way ticket to Phoenix, Arizona, trying to be a cowboy, but it never worked out, so I've been here ever since. The restaurant is open since 1983, and we own it since about 11 years ago, 12 years ago. Zur Kate means old smokehouse in northern Germany. Everybody knows everybody. You know, we don't cook no fancy food here, which is like kind of like a homemade atmosphere. My favorite dish is the ham hock. Ham hock is like a baked pork shank. We season it, and then we bake it for like 4 or 5 hours. And you got your choice of spätzle, dumpling. There's just something about it, like I like the crispy skin. I like the meat inside, it's tender. That's my favorite dish. We know most of the people here for 20, 30 years. They bring the kids, the grandkids. German hospitality is called like Gemütlichkeit. It's a word, there's no English translation for it. It means like from the heart, you're welcome. And we treat like everybody like they're like family.
So this is your place. Tell us about it.
I've been going there for years. The reason I chose it was the atmosphere, the steins on the wall, the good, just stick to your ribs type of comfort food. Really called out to home. It makes me feel comfortable.
I felt like I walked into a German beer garden. I mean, with the placards, the wood placards on the wall of all the cities I'd never even heard of or could pronounce. And the man playing the accordion, everybody in authentic, the old world German garb.
It's nice to be able to get that in Arizona, to really
Exactly.
like walk into another country.
Yeah.
And what did you think of the antlers on the wall? I just got to know.
Well, they just added to the festive nature of the whole place. I mean, between the music and the decorations and the antlers, I just really felt like I was taken to a different place.
Awesome. And what did you have to start with?
We started with the rye bread. You could tell it was fresh and homemade, and it was the perfect thing to munch on while we were waiting for our food.
It's like a marble rye.
Yeah, and it's rare
really
to get a
good.
good rye bread.
Absolutely.
I mean, really, it's a unique
And
thing.
homemade, too. I can't say I've ever
Yeah.
had homemade.
I obsess
rye.
over food in general, but when I was young, I could eat loaves of it.
Yes.
Rye bread.
Yeah.
With butter.
Yeah, of course.
We as well started off with a nice basket of that marble rye and big old side of butter, and we had some drinks to get going. A friend and a business partner that came with me, and he enjoyed a nice big Hefeweizen, and we had a couple of waters to start off the meal before we figured out what we were going to eat.
Denise, did you have a beer?
Yes.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I love dark beers, dark, heavy beers, and so we asked one of the waiters, and my husband, they suggested we have the Bock beer.
Okay.
And he actually gave us a sample. He brought out a small glass for us to try, and it was so good. So my husband and I both had a Bock beer.
That's as rich as rye bread when you start out with that.
Oh, and it went well with the rye bread.
So what did you have for your entree?
I had the smoked pork chop.
Okay.
Which was very good, because sometimes pork chops can be on the dry side,
Yes.
and it was very moist, tender, had that great smoky flavor to it. It was really good, very nice large portion. And with that I had the spätzle, if I'm pronouncing it right,
No,
with
that's
the brown
actually
sauce, and red cabbage, and everything was just excellent.
Good.
But my husband got the special of the day, which was the baked ham hock, which was the pork shank, and it was about the size of this plate.
Yeah.
He actually had it not only for dinner, but he brought some home. I ate some of it. He had some for a snack, and he had some for lunch the next day. So
And then you could make a soup out of it after. I mean,
probably,
yeah,
yeah,
you
I
can,
didn't
sure.
think of that. But
All
split
the
pea
portions
soup?
were huge.
Yes. What did you have?
I had the specialty bratwurst, and they actually came with two. So as I said, the portions were great, especially for sharing. I went with my parents, and we all were able to taste a little bit of each other's, and I had the same sides as well, the spätzle and the red cabbage.
Good. Excellent. Okay, you're the expert here.
Well, I had the sides of spätzle and red cabbage as well, so obviously that was a good choice across the board. For my main meal, though, I had the special of the weekend. It was a Friday night, and they have specials that are weekend-only things that are not necessarily part of the menu. It was roasted pork stuffed with bratwurst, and in my mind I pictured like a pork chop where they split it and then stuffed it. It was not. It was literally a whole pork loin, and then I don't know if they carved a hole out of the center or what, but there was a bratwurst just stuck right down the center of it. So you got a few slices of those, a spätzle, which is like a German pasta that's little grains. It was an excellent combination across the board. I've never had anything quite like that.
So after all this, what I will now call bacon wrapped in bacon, which is your dish, Casey, tell me about the desserts you had. I think you like desserts, Lauren.
Oh, I love dessert.
Okay, good.
So we shared an apple strudel that came with a vanilla sauce. It had some raisins, so it was, you know, somewhat healthy. But it was a great dessert. It wasn't overly sweet, but it was the perfect end to the meal, and it really felt like an authentic German dessert. It was homemade. It was fresh. It was really tasty.
It's
That's what
very
we had.
authentic. Now, was it flaky?
It was.
Good.
Yes.
That's important.
Yes, which made it really easy for us all to share and kind of dig into this
Good.
dessert
Yeah,
in the
that
middle of
was
the
really
table.
good.
Just because there's apples and nuts and things like that in it, Lauren, I'm going to let you think that it's still healthy
Okay,
for you, because it is.
thank you.
Casey?
We know how Lauren is with her desserts, don't
Yes,
we?
yes, we're learning.
No, we had the strudel as well, but we went up a step from yours. We
Okay,
all
where'd you
shared
go?
a shot of apfelkorn, which is like, what do you call it? Like apple schnapps. And good old German apple schnapps had a nice sweet liqueur type flavor, but a nice follow up of the heat of an actual liquor that goes with it. So that accenting with the pastry that we had was delicious. We
Yeah,
really
people
enjoyed
may not know this, but the Germans and the Dutch are really great at these liqueurs. I mean, they're quite experienced at it, have been doing it for hundreds of years. And so if you really want the pure taste of, say, apple, it would be a good choice.
It really did have a very clean taste of apple to it, so that makes sense. Now
I'd
you say
like
that.
some right now. How about Denise? What did
I
you
had the same thing,
The
the,
strudel,
apple
everyone-
strudel.
strudel
yeah.
all around.
Couldn't go wrong with that, I figured. So it was
Yeah.
delicious, yeah. Very
Good.
good, not overly sweet, like you said. It was very good.
If you would like to try Zur Kate German Restaurant, reservations are not accepted. The average tab for dinner is $15 without drinks.